Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be reacting to the Australian Special Air Service selection course. So yeah, this is a bit of a stroll down memory lane. I haven't looked at the videos like this before. I've looked at other selection courses, the American ones, so I'll probably do some reaction videos to those. But this is going to be interesting having a look at the Australian one. So anyway, I've brought it forward to about 46 seconds just because there's some intro stuff at the start of the video, and we'll start it from here. So let's jump in.
Most who start will never finish. This is the search for warriors. It's day.
Right off the bat, I seen these guys marching along with their gear, rocking up. Brings back a whole flood of memories. Just seeing that, I was filled with nervousness, but also excitement, genuine excitement for what we're about to go through, but also an excitement in the sense that it was a new country. So coming from NZ to Australia, having a bit of an idea of how challenging and how difficult it was going to be, but still excited and looking forward to it. So yeah, it's cool watching this again, or not watching this again. When I say watching it again, it's almost like I'm reliving it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would have been, so I was 20 on the New Zealand one. I would have been about 23 years old by the time I did the Australian one here. Turned 21 on cycle, 22, went to Timor, come back, 22, 23. I would have been 22, 23, probably more towards 20, no, yeah, I would have been 23 by the time I did the Australian selection. But yeah, this is cool. This is cool watching this.
Day one of the SAS selection course. Chosen from the best of the Australian military services, 130 men are at the start of a grueling 3-week test.
Sorry for the pausing, but yeah, for context, 130, that's a heck of a lot. In NZ, I think at the time when I did the New Zealand one, there might have been about 42 of us from memory, and we had quite a few of us pass that selection as well, which was not the norm. But here, 130. The Australian one, when I went through the Australian selection, all up if you include those that participated in the barrier testing or the Special Forces entry test, there probably would have been close to 300, just under 300 all up. And then by the time we got to selection, I don't know if we had 130, maybe close to 100, maybe a little over 100. Either way, there was still a heck of a lot of people. But why do I share that? It's a heck of a lot more than what you have on the New Zealand selection. I'm not sure what the British one has, so be interested to find out. Yeah, anyway.
And a shot at becoming one of the world's elite soldiers.
I think everyone has nerves. I mean, you'd be lying if you said you didn't. It's the unknown.
From this moment on, their every move will be scrutinised by the directing staff. Drawn from the classified ranks of the SAS, most of these men must remain in disguise. Although many of the candidates are already hardened soldiers, only a few will be left standing at the end.
It's interesting watching this video because I can see some of the faces of guys that I know, that I knew, that I served with. And one of the guys that went by in the video with the mask covering half his face, we were on the same selection course together. He was an officer, really good guy. And then he went on to be a water operator and in charge of, or troop commander for one of the water operator troops within the unit. But I just seen him walk past there, and it's, yeah, when you spend a fair bit of time with people and the eyes give them away, when you know them, that is. So that's another cool aspect. Watching this video and then seeing guys that I went through selection and cycle with, and we got badged together, now seeing them on the other side and seeing them go through the process of identifying, selecting, being the directing staff, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Since we got back from Afghanistan, I've been training up for it. So, yeah, can't wait.
You're going to see us look pretty messy because they push you hard. They need to find out if you've got what it takes.
And only some of those will be selected to commence training for the coveted Sandy Barrow.
There's some soldiers who are bred for this. They are just a warrior soldier, and all they want to do is serve their country and fight.
That guy that was just on the video, I wonder if this guy here, really good man. He was one of the, obviously, head instructors on my selection as well as cycle, definitely cycle. I'm not sure if he was on the selection as well, but yeah, just a incredible man. I had a lot of respect for him during the cycle. We all did, and I know he's still held in very high regard today. I'm not sure if he's still in at the moment, but yeah, he's a good man. Anyway.
A soldier, and all they want to do is serve their country and fight.
Over the next 21 days, these men will find out if they are made of the right stuff for the regiment.
We will break an individual down to see his true character. We'll see his strengths and we'll see his weaknesses. In situations where he's at the absolute limits of human endurance to come up with a solution to achieve the mission at the end of the day. So selection gives us a good insight into the soul of the individual.
I love that. I know who that is too. He was my OC for the squadron that I was in at the time. When I was in, I was fortunate, privileged to serve within one squadron, and he was our OC for that squadron. And not surprising to see him go on to now be, or I'm not sure if he still is, this was probably a long time ago now, but to see him become the commanding officer, not a surprise there. Man, interesting. I really liked the words that he shared. Gives you an opportunity to see into the person's soul. Actually, I'm going to rewind that a bit. Hang on. We'll just try to catch that again. Go back a little bit further.
To come up with a solution to achieve the mission at the end of the day. So selection gives us a good insight into the soul of the individual.
A good insight into the soul of the individual. Those are powerful words. I never looked at it that way. I've never heard it framed that way before. But definitely, yeah, I've used terms and I've heard other people use the term, you'll be broken down and you'll be seen for who you are, warts and all. So, but, oh man, to see into the soul of a person, that's, yeah, it hits different. It's cool hearing it described that way, because that is what you get a glimpse and an insight into. And that's part of, at least my experience, that's part of what enables you to know whether or not you can trust that person, or whether or not they, vice versa, that they can trust you. So, yeah, sorry for all the pausing. I may end up doing this. This is about a 1 hour long video, or 50 minutes thereabouts. It may end up being 3 or 4 hours the rate I'm going. I'm only 2 minutes and 42 seconds in, and I'm already pausing it on bits and pieces. But that's just the excitement coming back out, seeing this, hearing it. I'm actually feeling some of the emotions and stuff again that I felt back then. A lot of it is excitement. I'm more excited now because I know I'm not having to go through that, but which definitely helps. But seeing this and seeing men be willing to put their hand up and say, "Yep, this is what I want to do," that's knowing that the success rate is not very high. It's cool to see, because there's lots of people that talk about this is what they want to do, but they bloody, make excuses, or they never get around to doing it, or they become I was gonna do selection, but this happened. Oh yeah, that I was gonna do this, but I went and did this instead. It's like, then you'll get guys that regret not doing it. It's like, bro, you should have just gone and did it. Like, nobody was stopping you. But anyway, sorry, I'll get back to the video.
During this time, they will be taught almost nothing. Instead, they will learn a lot about themselves.
Find out who I am, what I'm capable of, what my limits are. That's what I'm here to find out about.
Already in his mid-30s, for candidate 42, it's now or never.
It's something I've got to do, I think. I never wanted to get just sort of, I guess to 40 years of age and look back on my life and think, fuck, I really should have had a go at that and I didn't do it. That nothing worse than living with regret.
Hey, just on that there, number 42, I think they said. That's what I was just talking about. You don't want to be that guy that looks back and goes, frickin' heck, I wish I did that. If you've got the time and the opportunity, and if that thought goes into your head, then can get up and do it now. Put in your application and do it now. I think they said he's early 30s or 30 or whatever it is. From memory, from my time when I was getting ready to go through for both the New Zealand and from what I'd heard about the British SAS, sort of late 20s, early 30s or early 30s to mid 30s was preferred, or was a sort of preferred age, because you've got more life experience. You've got a heck of a lot of military experience typically, especially if you join the army at 18, 19, 20 years of age, and you're more settled. You're less, you're not so young, dumb and full of, you know what the next word is. And so therefore you've got a lot more wisdom. So seeing or hearing him, candidate 42 in his 30s, I think he's going in at a good time. As long as he's looked after his body and he's in good shape and mentally he's there, hopefully he does well. The other guy, I sort of touched on this earlier as well without realising. He spoke about wanting to see what his limits are. And that's cool. Like there may be people that just want to go on selection and test themselves and see what their limits are. But I personally never went on selection for myself, and I never served with anybody that turned up for selection just wanting to see if they could pass, or just wanting to see if they could test their limits in terms of what selection has to offer and the intensity and the work that you would have to get through in order to be able to pass. Everybody, including myself, that at least I know that I went on to serve with, joined the unit, went on selection because we wanted to serve there, not because we wanted to test our limits. I don't know if that's a good mindset to have. Oh yeah, I want to do it just for the challenge, just to see if I can do it. I don't think that's the place where you want to go and do that. You go to the unit, you go on selection for the Special Air Service because you want to serve there. Going back to what the senior instructor was saying, the guy that I was speaking about earlier, a really good man. Guys want to be there because they want to serve their country, because they want to be there for their mates, because they want to go through the furnace if they have to, and they want to go and fight the fight. If there's something that comes up, whether it's overseas or domestic within your own country, and the government or people need help, then those are the types of people that typically want to go to this unit. They're putting up their hand saying, yep, here I am, I'm good to go. When are we off? So, yeah. Anyway, sorry. We're only 3 minutes in, and I'm already talking far too much. Apologies about that. This is my first reaction video, so it is what it is. Anyway, we'll get back to it.
For 130, it's about much more.
Since about the age of 14, I've wanted to join the military. Since the age of about 17, I wanted to join the SAS. It's the family that I crave.
The family that I crave, but does that family crave you, or me, or those that aspire to go there? Attitude, personality, how you present, how you communicate, all of that stuff plays a part with regards to being identified and hopefully selected to progress and join the ranks of the unit. Some lessons and things in there that, I took for granted once I made it in there, but we'll talk about that another time. Anyway.
All the candidates have arrived, and the men ready themselves for an intense physical start.
Everyone's just waiting for a bomb to drop.
Okay, everyone, stop what you're doing. Be quiet. Listen in.
Instead, they are given a creative task.
You are to demonstrate your literacy and clarity of thought by submitting an erudite, inventive and stimulating essay about yourself. Your essay will be studied by selection course staff in order to find out more about you and why we might consider you for further SAS reinforcement training.
It's a very open-ended question they get given, or set of questions they get given on that particular essay. So it's interesting to see what people actually bring up. You can actually glean a lot of information out of that, which we use later on down the track.
That's interesting. I just from the Sykes perspective, I see there was a Captain N. When I went through, there was a guy, his name was Captain K. That's because I can't remember how to pronounce his surname, but he was the psychologist on the Australian selection when I went through. And I know they did something, maybe not as detailed as that. Maybe we didn't get as much time, but I know in the New Zealand selection, during pre-selection, we had to write out a bit of a story about why we wanted to join the unit, and sort of similar to what they've just done there. I don't recall having to do one for the Australian one, but maybe we did. It was over 20 years ago now when I did the Australian one, so who knows. But it's cool to hear from the Sykes perspective about what they glean from that. Now, if you think about this, there's 130 candidates. SAS selection courses, in my opinion, the two that I've been fortunate to do, are the most, or were the most, from my experience, most well-organized, structured. All the timings, everything, we just ran like clockwork. And it's not until you're on the other side of the selection that you get a real appreciation and understanding of how much work goes into every selection. Like the staff, the orders and the plans, the instructions, the logistics, the communication, the activities. Man, everything's done to a T. And so to know that there's now going to be these letters that are done by 130 that will then be reviewed by the staff in the background whilst everything else is happening concurrently to get an understanding, a better understanding of these individuals. That's a massive amount of work. So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling on. Bloody hell, not even that 5-minute mark yet.
From the psychological perspective, they're really looking for someone who has, I guess, resilience being a key factor. Someone who's, capable of getting on with the job, even when the chips are down, and really capable of dealing with that uncertain environment that's out there at the moment.
Next, the men are issued with their course kit. Now, any feelings of uncertainty are about to reach a whole new level.
All right, what I need to do is take off all of your clothing, including your watch, your underpants, dog tags, and put them in a neat...
I just want to try and get that guy's face again. I wonder if I can scroll forward. Damn, I probably missed it. I'll play that again. Hang on.
Including your watch, your
This guy's face, just, I don't know if the cameras intentionally grabbed him at that time. He might have been making that face for something else, but yeah, you strip down to you're like a newborn baby coming out, and that's you standing there with all your junk hanging out. That is part of the selection process. It wasn't part of the New Zealand one, at least not on my one when I went through. It's definitely part of the Australian one. It was when I went through, and it's good to see that it's still part of it now. There's a lot that goes on through your head when you're having to stand there, and then you get told, yeah, basically strip everything off. Don't leave your underwear on, take everything off. And then you've got badged operators, and you've also, they intentionally bring in, or at least there's female staff walking around and through and helping out with the equipment checklists with everything to make sure that you've got everything. So this is a case, not sure if they've got females here, but they did on my one. I wouldn't be surprised if they had them here, but just looking at this guy's face is a cracker. Don't worry, bro, you won't be the only one thinking, having thoughts going on through your head, especially if this is your first time. Yeah, hard case.
underpants, dog tags, and put them in a neat pile just to your rear.
We can see the looks on a couple of guys' faces, like I'm doing a shoot, looking around. Are these other guys going to be doing it? Probably wondering, is this a joke? Is this a test? Do they really mean everything off? Or, yep, they mean everything. Get it off. Get it off, buddy.
Okay, you should have 5 sets of military socks. Put 1 set on your feet and put the other 4 in the S-long bag. Stand up nice and straight when you're done.
The cause for us stripping them naked is to level them out. I mean, clearly there are some very fit blokes there. We populate the staff with as many women as possible also. It's another psychological ploy to play on their minds. It's not a comfortable thing to be standing there nude with people all looking at you while you put your socks on.
100%. I recognise that guy as well. We were actually neighbours. We lived like just around the corner. Well, initially we lived like probably 2 houses away, but then they brought and built a house around the corner, but in the same suburb. And yeah, good guy. Got to know him and his wife and their children when I was early into my time in the unit. I'm pretty sure I don't think he's still in now, but no doubt he's doing something great and impacting in positive ways wherever he is. So yeah, it's cool seeing people that I recognise and people that have got such good reputations within the unit that have earned their place, that have proven themselves time and time again, and seeing them put the next lot of aspiring candidates, next lot of aspiring operators through the process. Everybody comes through the front door, bro. You come through that main gate, come through the front door, no side entry, no back door, and you go through it like everybody else and like those that have laid the foundation before you. So yeah. And you did hear him talk about they populate it with as many women as possible, and you saw some images of some of the women in that there. Yeah, he's right. There is a huge psychological aspect to the whole of selection, regardless of what selection you do. So yeah, this is I'm pretty sure my cheeks are starting to hurt already. I'm just smiling that much watching it. Anyway.
We adopt a method, we call it silent running when it comes to dealing with the candidates. We don't give them any positive feedback, we don't give them any negative feedback. They won't be told they've done something well, nor done it badly, and that really will play on their minds quite a bit because in this modern society, people look for feedback on their performance, and they won't get any from us here.
All right, have a look at the floor in front of you. You should see some very important paperwork, probably one of the most important.
Sorry. Pretty sure I'm going to be doing this for the whole, so this apologies, this video is probably going to go on longer than what it should, but that silent running is a critical piece of the selection process. Anybody wanting to go on there, don't go on there looking for feedback, positive or negative. Actually, from time to time, you will likely get negative feedback, and you'll get feedback that's going to tell you you're not going to pass anyway. So if anything, expect to receive negative feedback, expect to be told that you're not doing well. But definitely don't expect any positive feedback.
Your withdrawal at home request form. I want you to put that inside your wallet with your notebook.
I'm just going to go back because I missed an important piece. He's just spoke about the withdrawal own request form.
Paperwork, probably one of the most important. Your withdrawal at home request form. I want you to put that inside your wallet with your notebook.
So that withdrawal at own request, it's something that we didn't get in the New Zealand selection, something obviously that they have and that they still have in the Australian selection, which is great. Ours is a little piece of paper and we had to keep it in our pocket. And that's where we were told to put it, at least on my selection. Here they've been told to put it in their wallet, waterproof wallet with their notebook and pen, etc. Keep it protected from the weather and sweat and all that sort of thing. We all did that. I put mine in my pocket. As soon as I was out of sight from the instructors, I took mine out, ripped it up, and I got rid of it. I put it in the rubbish. I was like, there's no way I'm filling out that form. And I just can't fill out the form if I don't have it on me. So yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely plays on your mind, because if it's there with you, the temptation is, right, which is all part of the process. The temptation is you go to your wallet or your pocket, you're pulling out your notebook and pen, and you see it. And then you start thinking, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to go for another 2 weeks? Do I really want to cover another 80 to 100 plus kilometers on this navigation exercise? this withdraw at own request looks pretty good. I'm feeling a bit hungry now. Body's a little bit stiff and sore. All of these things play a huge part in terms of why you have that withdraw at own request, at least in the Australian selection anyway. So, yeah, important piece of kit, but you make a decision. Do you want to keep that hanging around in your pocket or in the waterproof wallet with your notebook and pen so that you can look at it and be tempted to fill it out? Or do you want to give that thing the flick as soon as you can and you stay there? And the only way you come off is when you complete it and when you pass, or if you get physically removed from the course. Anyway, back to the video.
Every candidate's issued a withdraw and request form at this stage, and it's the only vehicle they have to get off this this course. We basically don't remove people in the first phase of this course. They'll remove themselves. Either that or they'll be injured. And for some of them, when the mind games start playing in their own heads, they can feel it burning away in their pocket, and they have to have it on them at all times.
I'm glad we never it wasn't part of the inspection to check us if we still had our withdraw at own request form, because if they did, I would have had to make up some sort of story that I probably wouldn't have actually. I don't think I would have. I think I would have just told the truth. If they had said, "Where's yours?" I would have just said, "Oh, staff, I threw mine in the rubbish." And if they had asked why, I would have said, "Because I'm not here to fill out a withdraw at own request form. I'm here to do selection because I want to serve in the unit." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I would have said, or words to that effect anyway. I mean, up to that point, I'd been asked about things before in the New Zealand selection, the Australian section, and I always felt just tell them the truth. And I think about that now and think, yeah, we were never checked to see if we still had our withdraw at own request form. But if we were, and if I was asked, I would have just told them the truth. They probably would have said, they may have said something cheeky and or they may have just said, "Okay, we'll see," or they may have punished me and then given me another form and then told me to make sure I don't throw this one away. Who knows? But thankfully I didn't have to go through that. All right.
The candidates now leave the barracks to travel to a bush camp where the real course begins. Driven 2 hours into the night, the candidates are then marched another 8 kilometres to the camp. These men are now walking into what will become the most difficult physical and psychological experience of their lives.
The course itself is physically and mentally demanding. If you have prepared yourself correctly, you'll be standing at the end of this course. You'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn a lot about the other soldiers standing around you. Be confident, trust in your own ability, and believe in yourself. If you do that, you'll be standing here in 21 days' time. And remember, I want warriors.
Housed in a cold shell of a building known as the Embassy, it's past midnight by the time the candidates are finally allowed to sleep.
I don't know who was in charge of the music duties, but I can't make out what that music is. But it's getting the desired effect. Anyway, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think it's said on the video. And yeah, the guys know what time it is. They know that they might have only got their heads down at midnight. Things are just beginning. Things are just beginning. Yeah.
From this moment on, the men will be constantly torn from their beds and punished for indiscretions.
for inspection. Port! Arms! DS, inspect the weapons.
Have you cleaned your weapon? Yes, sir.
A soldier's weapon is his most important possession. It must remain within reach at all times and be impeccably maintained.
Yes, sir. Sir, candidate. Sir. Yes, sir. Remove your receiver.
That weapon is filthy.
Where's your gas plug, candidate?
Can't answer that question, sir.
You have a missing gas plug for this weapon?
That's inexcusable. Sir,
Place your weapon back together.
Sir.
Missing your gas plug for your weapon. Bro, I don't know what you're up to or what you've done with it or how you missed that when you've stripped and then reassembled your weapon and put it back together. But anyway.
The DS have reported back to me, and what they've reported is totally unacceptable. The weapons are filthy, rust, dust, mud, fluff. Not only dirty weapons, weapons with vital components missing, lost. You just don't get it. PDIs! Dirty student.
June 1996, the regiment lost a number of soldiers in a Black Hawk accident. How many soldiers died on that day from this regiment?
15, sir.
15. 15 warriors who were at their peak, stripped from this regiment like that. 15 is a number we're going to work with tonight.
Fun times. Let the burpees begin. It's a staple movement and part of the Defence Force. I'm actually just enjoying watching, listening. I recognise at least two of those staff, the one that was just talking then about the Black Hawk accident and the one before then who asked if they had cleaned his weapon and then said, you see that candidate, and saw the black mark around the end of his pinky finger. I know those guys. I know that guy's out of the unit now, and from what I remember, he's over in Dubai. The other guy that you may have heard sounds a little bit like a Kiwi. Pretty sure he's got Kiwi heritage. Yeah, I know who that is as well, but I won't say his name because I'm not sure if he's still in. Burpees. 15 is the number they're working with. They're in for a long night and then a long day.
Most of these men are already experienced and fit soldiers. The directing staff are forced to push the physical pain levels to the extreme in order to begin breaking the candidates down. It is known as retraining. The retraining goes on for hours, quickly exposing physical weakness and hidden injuries. And no matter how hard the men try, it will never be good enough.
That was a poor demonstration. So let's do it again. Push up, ready?
Watching that, I remember on the Australian one, Shane Saltmarsh was at the front, started taking us for these push-ups early hours in the morning. Guy's a machine, just pumping them out. We were supposed to keep up with him. We needed to keep the count. I think he did like sets of 50. And first 50, not too bad. It was okay. And then there was like a short break. It would have been less than 30 seconds, I reckon. And then he was into it again, and then whacked out another set of 50. I was struggling by that second set. Maybe got to halfway of that second set of 50, and then I started falling behind, doing one every second rep. And I got the spotlight put right on me, a little flashlight by one of the staff who started giving it to me. And all I was thinking of at the time was like, hey, I know how this works. I don't need to keep up with every rep. I'm trying to, because I don't want to have the spotlight on me. But at the end of the day, I couldn't physically keep up with him for every rep. He must have done 3, 4, 5 sets of 50s. I think maybe the last couple of sets he might have dropped down to 30 or 40. But man, he was banging them out like no one's business. And all of us are struggling, some more than others. And in that moment and in that time, I was seen by one of the staff, and they come down, get right in your face with the torch. And you don't want to be in that. Well, you don't want to be in their scope when that happens, because they've got your bright orange candidate number. They're going to remember that. They're going to start looking out for you in the days to come. And you're going to be under the microscope, and you don't want to be. So watching all of this, man, it brings back a whole bunch of, much better memories now. But yeah, there were aspects of it that definitely sucked. And I remember when that spotlight was on me, I was like, yep, I might not be able to keep up, but there's no way I'm quitting. I'm going to keep going. And if I have to keep doing it again and again, this is the advantage that I had from coming from the New Zealand selection. I knew the things that were timed and that you needed to meet specifically, timings, reps, all those sorts of things, then you have to pass. But when it's just the task is just to make you tired, just to break you down, just to break you down physically, which starts impacting you mentally, I knew I was just going to keep going. I'm going to try, but I was physically unable to do every single rep for rep push-up that Salty was doing that night or that day for that whole course. So, yeah. Anyway.
By day 2, the candidates' bodies have been softened up. The regiment now begins to work on their minds. Interviews conducted by serving and veteran SAS soldiers probe for signs of mental weakness.
Relax.
They begin with candidate 53, a physical instructor with the military.
So you like being PDI?
I do enjoy it too, yes.
So you like being basically in charge of people?
I wouldn't say that too. I just like the lifestyle and the opportunity that's provided me.
All the P2 gear, the lycra.
I know those three guys on the panel. The one that's doing the talking, obviously, he's got a very well-known reputation. He makes some awesome beef jerky too. But yeah, anyway, no, those 3 guys. Kaz is the guy that's doing the talking. He's obviously not serving in the unit, but he's always been in and around for as long as I can remember. He had already been in and finished serving by the time I got there, but then he was brought in on our combat survival course and helping out as one of the instructors on that course. So it's not a surprise to see him still here from the Vietnam, I'm pretty sure Vietnam era, if I remember correctly. Apologies if I got that wrong, but he's a highly respected man, and so he should be too. Bit of a funny fella too, a bit of a character. Hard case hearing him speak about the lycra. PTIs don't wear lycra, but they did wear these very tight shorts, tight shorts, red ones in the Australian Defence Force. I can't remember what the ones were for the PTIs in NZ, but anyway, it's interesting. Anyway, let's carry on.
Hey,
occasionally too.
All the nice PT shoes and all that.
I guess a lot of people see PDIs as lobsters. Body full of muscle, head full of shit. You know, because they're the guys wearing the tight shorts and the tight shirts and stuff, walking around the base where everyone else has to wear cams and that. They do come across or get perceived as posers or whatever else, but that's just
whatever.
I've seen PDIs like you come and go before. It's all too hard. Living in the field, bit of rain like this, cold, hungry. You might be ripped and a little bit toned and past a few of your PT sessions now. You don't get that tucker and that fuel in you. What's going to happen to that little body you got? It's going to shrink. You're not going to be able to do what you need to do.
Nah, wasn't me at all. They have a perception of who they think I am, and obviously they're trying to either solidify that in their own minds or me prove them wrong. I'm not going to let anyone intimidate or put me down for having a crack anyway, so they can think what they want.
Hey, that's a great attitude to have, because you will get put down. They will look to try to get under your skin, and they want to see how you respond. There's the emotional aspect, there's the physiological aspect, there's the physical aspect. All of those things play a factor. Just like they said at the start, getting stripped down naked. Like, things start from day one, and it is relentless. It continues throughout the whole of the selection course. And as these men are going through right now, or those that make it, it's going to continue like that for the whole 21 days.
Evening, sir.
Candidate 130's confident entrance quickly evaporates as the interviewers assess his personal essay.
What you've written here seems to me as a whole heap of shit. It doesn't tell me anything.
In an attempt to be different, I wrote, it wasn't flippant, it was light-hearted, merely a tale of my life, like Roald Dahl. And when they told me they couldn't stand to read it, I was pretty upset, and I was on the back foot from there.
Tell me no bullshit about your life.
Sir, I believe I am who I am, due to 9 years boarding school. Taught me the value of comradeship, friendship, loyalty, strength, old school principles. That's me, sir, through and through.
I still don't know anything about you. What's your family life like?
Families, are they divorced, sir? They don't really talk to each other, but I am their go-between. My principles come from my mother more so than my father.
What are your principles?
Loyalty above all other things, sir.
That's one principle.
Honour, friendship, sticking by your mates.
Think you do a good job in a small team?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
You don't reckon you're being a little bit arrogant with that?
No, sir.
So how long have you been thinking about doing the selection course?
Quite a few years, sir.
Quite a few years. What, before O-Flight?
Yes, sir.
So it's taking you a long time to really sort of...
I had some growing up to do, sir.
Right, yeah.
The arrogance that is perceived, that had to be controlled.
That was there, was it?
Yes, sir.
Why were you so arrogant?
It's probably a defensive reaction, sir, to the unknown.
What are you afraid of?
Failure.
Failure?
Yes, sir.
What,
So
failure to what? Failure to what?
To live up to my own expectations, sir. There were so many points I wanted to bring across, but the questions were just, wow, I didn't achieve what I wanted to. I really didn't, and I have to make up for it.
That's only a snippet. Those are only snippets of his particular panel interview, but it doesn't look good. It does not look good for him at all, for this particular candidate. I think he's the one that mentioned it's what he's wanted to do since he was 14 or 17 or whatever it is at the start. Yeah, that confident entrance into the room when you're going in to face badged operators is not how you want to enter a room when you are a candidate, when you are aspiring to be where they are. Coming in there, strutting, confident, head up, chest, shoulders back and chest out. It's I don't recommend it, put it that way. And to see him reflecting on how that went, I'm glad the cameras went and saw him. Seeing and listening to him reflect on how that all went, it's good that he's picked up on the fact that there were some things that he wanted to bring across, he should have brought them up, and that he needs to make up for it. I don't know how he's going to make up for that, because you can see it's leaving a bitter taste in the mouth of the panel members. And right from the jump, when we'll call him Trooper J, asked him or told him that the letter, the story that he wrote, was full of crap, man, yeah, he's on the back foot. So anyway, we'll see how he goes.
Move the bar quickly. Feet are shoulder width apart. 21, bring your hands closer. It is a tricep extension. Just give up, man. It is easy to give up. It is easy to...
On the third day, a brutal PT session provides the staff with a clearer picture of how the men are travelling.
By day 3, you will see a delineation between the strong members on the course and the people that haven't prepared themselves or probably aren't going to finish the course successfully.
Did you train? You didn't train.
But there is the anomaly. There is just the bloke who's got plenty of ticker and he hangs in to the end. And they're everywhere in the regiment, I think. That's what makes it such a special place.
This is your first PT session and you're struggling now.
And stimulate the instruction.
From here, you'll see activities that are designed to create fatigue, that are designed to put people out of their comfort zone. It's probably the key point. And what that's trying to do is trying to reduce the person down to their, I guess, basic personality, and it becomes very clear whether someone's going to be able to do this job later on down the track when it's really counting.
It's awesome to hear again from the psych's perspective around the tools that are used. Like, I understood and we understand going in, especially when you've had the privilege to go through selection and then serve as an operator, you understand the value of the hardship, of the suffering, of the need to go through that so that you know who you can trust. And as the psych mentions, so that they can identify whether or not you have the, or words to the effect of whether or not you have the ability to go on and serve within a unit like that. Also, the PTI, I know him as well. I remember him from 4RAR, the commando unit at the time when I was in Holsworthy Barracks in Sydney before going on to the selection in Perth. And I don't know if he was a PTI then or if he was just in the rifle company. But anyway, he's a PTI clearly there. And listening to him speak, yeah, you'll get some guys that'll just keep going and going and going. And that's what you need. You need the men that are willing to just keep going, no matter what the obstacle is, no matter how hard it is. And it's easy for people to go, yeah, I get that, I understand that when you're talking about it and when you're hearing it. But once you're in it, once you start doing it, that's the only way that I know of. That's the only way that you will know as an individual, that individuals will know if they're up for this job or not. Because if you don't do it and all you do is hear about it, yeah, it sounds good, yeah, it's great, I can do that. But if you haven't been through and lived those hard things or gone through suffering, when things get hard in your own life, personally, family, whatever, then it's very easy to just go, yeah, nah, I'm out of here, call it quits. So all of this stuff as part of the selection process is to weed out those that don't want to be there, identify those that can, and you'll find, well, I found anyway, it starts to galvanize you or bond you together with that cohort that you're with on selection, especially when you're nearing, or what feels like when you're fingers crossed, hoping that you're nearing the end of the selection. There's bonds that start to really form because you're looking at the men left and right of you and in front of you and behind you and going, you guys are still here. I can trust you. You've got my back. I want you to know I've got your back. And so, yeah, it's a cool place to be.
Directing staff are everywhere, constantly looking for candidates that aren't suitable. There is nowhere to hide.
Well, they want to make sure that they're going to get the best. They've all been through it themselves. They know what these people are going through, and they're mindful of what we need as a unit.
If you feel you cannot carry on, then just rest the bar on your chest. You will be assessed by the operators and they will deem you unsuitable for their environment.
After another day of intense physical and mental pressure, a steady stream of candidates is withdrawing.
Okay, cheers, no worries, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, these blokes you can see behind me have elected to withdraw and request. So they've handed in the form to the senior instructor, and he's instructed them to come back up here, pack up their gear, and just wait till they come and get collected. We kind of change tack at that point. I mean, clearly these guys had the gumption to turn up. They've given their all as hard as they can on the course. So we no longer have to be too straight-faced and stony with them. I, in fact, respect them for having the gumption to come here, have a go at the course, at least push themselves to the hardest of their limits.
That's cool. If I didn't say before, he's a great man. The guy that you just saw speaking there, the one that we were neighbours and got to know each other's families. Hearing him speak like that, that's the thing. Anybody that has the courage to put their hand up and go, I want to go and do selection, and they actually physically turn up and they go through it, and whether you identify it's for you or not is neither here nor there, you turned up. He used the word, they had the gumption to show up there. You turned up and you did it, whereas there's literally hundreds, probably thousands of people that haven't even done that, that have not had the same level of commitment, or that were too afraid to do what those individuals have done. Yet they failed, yet they've withdrawn because it's too hard or whatever. But I love the way that he's put it there. They had the gumption to show up and push themselves to the maximum or the limits of their perceived ability, and that's okay. That's enough for them now. They want to go, and so they don't have to be so hard or straight-faced towards them. They can be a little bit softer, but they're not going to treat you, badged operators, when you quit, they're not going to treat you like you're a good mate. Oh, don't worry about it, bro. You can come back. I'm not going to do that. It's like, okay, yep, no worries. And it's just a slightly softer tone and approach. Anyway.
Once they have been psychologically assessed, they are left to reflect in what is known as Camp Happy.
As you see at the start of the course, soldiers doubt themselves. They got families, not that confident in themselves, and they withdraw from the course very early. It's just something in that little back of their mind just triggers them and say, look, this is not for me.
I couldn't have asked for a better preparation, done everything to the letter and more. Basically been training for about 18 months. I've got 3 daughters under 5 years old. I just basically just reached the point where I didn't think it was fair on them. I think I spent so much time trying to convince my wife that she could cope with it. I never actually convinced myself that I could. Maybe I fell in love with the dream and not the actual reality.
Those willing to dream on will soon face the most brutal test.
It's good to hear his reflections, him as a father, and I think he said 5 children, 3 under 5 or something like that. Trying to convince his wife or convince himself that his wife could when he wasn't sure if he could, or something like that anyway. But yeah, that's hard, man, when you're going on selection and you've got a family. Even if you don't have children and you've got a partner, that's still hard. That's still, something that you really have to take into consideration and think, do I want to do this? Is this the right thing to do? If I make it through, there's going to be extended periods of time when you're away. So there's a lot going on. But I don't know. For me, it's not a criticism. It is what it is for him, and that's how he feels. But that it can also be very easy to use family as an excuse or as a reason to withdraw as well. That's what I think anyway. You sacrifice and you train, like you said, he says, and more for 18 months. You train for 18 months. Bro, you give yourself for those 3 weeks. And if at the end of that, when you've completed it and you've passed, and then you think about, oh man, I don't think I can leave my wife and the kids, the girls are so young, or the children, whatever, that's when you can make a decision. But if you've just sacrificed 18 months and caused your family to sacrifice 18 months so that you can go train for this thing that you want to do that lasts 3 weeks, 21 days, then you should have finished that off. You should have completed it. 18 months training, 21 days. Suck it up for another 21 days. If you physically feel good, then do it. Knowing that, hey, if it's not for you and you're not going to serve with the unit, even if you get selected for the cycle, you have the right to turn that down. Hey, thank you very much, but I've realised after going through this that I can't stay here and do this. I had sacrificed so much time in training and preparation. I didn't want to waste that 18 months. I wanted to come here, complete selection. Yes, I did really want to come and serve here initially, but my family or whatever, just explain yourself. And then if you want to, and then you decline the invitation to go into the cycle. You don't pull off in whatever day of the selection is. It's 21 days. Like, stay in the fight, keep going till you get to the end. Anyway.
So far.
Or I missed something.
Will soon face the most brutal test so far. It's just 4 days into the grueling 3-week SAS selection course. 130 hopeful candidates have been quickly reduced to less than 90. The remaining men now face a task designed to reduce their ranks even further, the 20-kilometre pack march. Candidate 42 relays the rules to the men.
Right, listen up. After breakfast, we'll clean up quickly and get set up for the 20 clicker. The weights for the 20 clicker are 20 kilos in your pack, 8 kilos in your webbing. Any questions? Fall out.
A lot of guys are concerned about this. Is another pass-fail activity. 20 kilometres in 3 hours 15 maximum time. So you either get under time, you might get another bite at the cherry, but even then you're even more fatigued later on. So it's pretty much either do it this morning or go home.
Get the 20 kilometres done in 3 hours 15 time, I think was what he shared. I can't remember all the times at the top of my head, but I remember that they were demanding and they're hard, and you want to get through it the first time, because if you don't, and if you're still there and you've still got to complete it at the end, like the guy said, you're going to be worse for wear. So you want to try to crack that done, get that done in the first go. It is hard. This is a piece of the training that does knock a few people out. And also what was just interesting as well is that this is day 4, and that guy that had spent 18 months training and preparing is withdrawn after 4 days. Like that, to me, that doesn't make sense. Like, you train and you're prepared 18 months worth. You don't quit after 4 days. Yeah, anyway, people do. So let's crack on.
That's not something you want to do twice.
The march is the equivalent of a half marathon with a bag of bricks on your back. Only those prepared to push through the pain barrier will succeed.
There's a purpose to the 20 kilometre. This is a purpose with all the runs, and that might be a mission objective that while we might use aircraft, watercraft or vehicles to insert our people, they might not be able to get right to the target. We might have to walk in. So mission planners have to know that these guys can actually walk 20 kilometres to a target, do their mission, and they might have to walk 20 kilometres out. So it has a mission objective as well as the fatigue factor for the course.
He pretty much explains all of that right there. There are reasons for everything on selection. No matter how superfluous somebody might think a task is, or how meaningless somebody might think a task is, there are reasons for it all. And you may not realize or understand what those reasons are when you're in it, but certainly by the end of it, and when you've had some time, and when you deploy on operations, you have a really good understanding of why you go through such a crucible in order to get to a unit like the Special Air Service.
The men have to maintain their fluid intake, but also keep their water bottles filled so they don't drop under the required pack weight. And that weight can be too much to bear.
Yeah, what happened?
Lower back.
Your lower back.
Get any pain?
Tell you what, again, I know I'm pausing a lot, but man, there's a lot here. Like, this is exciting for me to see all of this again. When you see people withdrawing, when you see people getting helped like this, taken up and off the course for whatever the reasons are, it gives you a massive boost. It did for me anyway. It gives you a boost of energy. Like, you're not happy that they're injured, not happy that they're struggling. You're happy because you're still there and you've gone through the same things as what they've been going through. You've had a spotlight shined on you, been told, what are you doing here? Did you prepare? Why did you not prepare sufficiently for this course? What makes you think you're going to pass, etc., etc.? You've got all the same thing. You've been through the same things as them up to that point, and you're still there. And that is energizing. At least it was for me anyway.
A few will make it easily.
That was 44 minutes.
Most will just get home in time, like 109.
About 3 hours and 7 minutes ago we started, and I've been in the hurt locker since then. Didn't want to have to do that again. Wouldn't have worked out well.
I love his honesty. Hey, like the way he's speaking. It started 3 hours, 7 minutes ago, and I've been in the hurt locker since then. You are. Like, this is day 4. All those other things that you've seen at the start, just in this video, this snapshot, doesn't give you an accurate depiction of everything that has been happening and how much and how little sleep they've had, typically how little food they've had. Not at this stage, you're still getting fed reasonably well in the first early stages of selection. It's not until lucky dip in the Australian selection anyway where food was in short supply. But rest is minimal. You're getting worked over with hours and hours of PT or physical activity, and then mental aptitude tasks or things that you need to do. A whole bunch of that stuff isn't shown on this video. So to think that 20 kilometers, that's fine. Yeah, that may be fine when you're fresh, when you haven't gone through what they've just been through for these earlier 3 days and nights. But to think that this is all it is, wrapped up in this video, is completely wrong. You need a better understanding. So that's partly why I'm pausing it when I hear and see things, just to try to give a little bit more context or color for those that may not understand. I know there's a few people out there, hardest Marines or other ex-Special Forces people, reacting to this selection and other ones. If you don't have the context and you haven't been through it, you don't know all the other bits and pieces that are behind it. Now, granted, some of those from the other Special Forces that have done other selections, they probably do have a better idea. So I would anticipate that they would exercise a bit more judgment when they're going through or when they're looking at or reacting to the selection courses themselves. But this guy's honesty, yeah, pretty good to hear. Funny to hear too.
It's about all I got. I feel like I'm going to faint, to be honest.
3 hours, 34 minutes.
Many of the men are finishing well outside the time and will be forced to retest. Amongst them is 81, one of the youngest candidates, only 22 years old.
3 hours, 36 minutes.
Something not lost on the course selection assessors.
Why didn't you pass it?
I'm not sure, sir.
That 20 clicker is easy. You're going to be climbing up the sides of some features in the coming week that high that you'll probably sit beside God. And you found that 20K is too hard. You didn't achieve that. I'm looking at a 16-year-old boy sitting in front of me.
So
I'm just concerned that your age and your maturity, you're not right. You're still underdone. I think you lack confidence in yourself.
no, I don't believe that's true, sir.
Prove me wrong, 81. If you pass that 20 clicker, it'll change my opinion of what I've just said, reference your confidence and your ability in yourself.
So
I think
22. Man, 22, you should have been hammering that 20 clicker. Like, he's right. This guy here, he's crack up. He's got some good one-liners. And he's a very well-respected operator. I don't think he's still in the unit. I think he's out now as well, and likely kicking backsides and taking names wherever he is as well. But yeah, another good man, cheeky fella, but speaks a lot of truth there when he's speaking to this young man. That's the youngest candidate on this course, and he's like way over time, more than half an hour over the time from what I heard, if I heard correctly. He should be coming in and smashing that part of the course easily. Anyway.
I think it's just that was just a scare tactic for him to see how I'd react. This course is pretty much designed for you to fail and see how you react about failing. That's pretty much what it is.
That's an interesting take from him. What did he say? The course is designed or set up for you to fail, and then to see how you react to that. That's his opinion. That's his perspective. My take on having done both the New Zealand and the Australian one, and then been on the other side, at least for one of the Australian SA selection courses, they're not set up so that you fail. They need people to pass. And the courses themselves are achievable, and people are able to pass them. So they're not set up for you to fail. If they were, then nobody would pass. Nobody would get through selection. So in those times, like that 20 clicker, that's an achievable time. He should have made that time. So yeah, that you can see a little bit of the immaturity coming through potentially in his response or his thought process to that. 20 clicker, 3 hours, 15 minutes, make sure you come in under that time. You should be coming in under that time, not going into it thinking, oh, it's set up for us to fail anyway, and then just see how we respond. No, that's not right. And I'm not saying that that's what he's fully talking about, but it seems like what I'm picking up on, and without knowing him, the perception that selection's set up for you to fail is not accurate in my book. Otherwise, absolutely nobody would pass if that was the case. Anyway.
Candidate 42 is over 30 minutes outside the cut-off time. He is so far behind, the staff tell him to throw in the towel with the other non-finishers.
Jump in, let's go. We're going to jump in.
I love it. They've come in, you've got the other guys, the candidates on the back that have clearly not met the timing. They're in the Unimog. This guy, I don't know if he's a badged operator or not, or if he's one of the support staff, who's telling this guy, this looked like the guy that was talking about in his 30s or something, and didn't want to have any regrets. And he just, this is nut. I'm still walking. I'm going, and just takes off. Good on him. Thinking, salute, bro. Well done. But it's going to suck. I know at least in the barrier testing, I don't recall us getting a second opportunity on the Australian SA selection. Maybe we did, but thankfully I never had to redo any tests because, oh man, it would have sucked to do any of these, especially a test like this, again, later on down the track of the selection, when you're going to be even more fatigued, more tired, more physically drained, more mentally just sort of exhausted. So I don't remember, well, I know I didn't have to do a retest, so maybe there was the option. But typically, if you don't meet the standard, at least in NZ, if you didn't meet the cutoff timings or the minimum standards for the required tests when you do it the first time, then that's it. Like, see you later. Get on the bus over there or go wait with that group. You'll be jumping on the truck and then going back to camp, packing up your gear and then heading back to your unit. So the fact that there's an opportunity to do it again, bro, good luck and tip cap to you if you fail the first attempt and then you do it further down the track and you pass it. That's a good effort. But I would say you should have just bloody passed it the first time instead of doing it the second time around. Anyway, this is a crack up. He said, no, I'm still walking and he's heading off. Look at him.
I swear when I come here, they don't take me out here on a fucking stretcher. We're in a box. So, I'm not quite there yet. So I just keep going. That's all there is to it, you know. It's got to put one foot in front of the other.
However, 42's determined words are worth nothing when only numbers count.
3 hours and 52. You had 3 hours and 15 to do it. Yeah? That's a long way over time.
Yes, it is, sir.
So what I'm looking at is I don't believe you've done the correct training or done enough preparation or hard training to get yourself across the line. That was an individual test. You're under no duress from PDI or staff. That was entirely up to you to perform, and you didn't perform at all. You're looking down the barrel of another 20 kilometres in a day or so.
Sir.
As well as up-and-coming PT sessions that are coming on. So physically, I don't think that you've got what it takes to be here.
The interview, certainly, I guess it's hard not to be intimidated, you know. I mean, like at the end of the day with the 20 clicker, the cut-off's 3:15 and I was outside that, so I can't control whether they choose me. All I can do is come here, give 100% on everything. You know, what can you do? Like, it's like I said to you the other day, the worst thing I could do is stop.
It's good hearing his thoughts, and it's good that that panel piece showed up as well, because the DS speaking to him again, same one that was speaking to the young fella, is 100% right. You haven't prepared well enough. You haven't done the right training, and you're coming here on selection expecting to be able to complete these activities. Like, did you not do your homework? Did you not understand the requirement? Did you not know the timings were this before you came? Did you think you could just rock up and, yeah, I'll just do it on the day? It's crazy to me that potentially, I'm not saying that that's what's happened, but he makes a really good point, the instructor. You haven't done enough, you haven't trained properly, and or you haven't done enough hard training specific to what you're going to be expected to do. The unit and selection, a lot of your work, if not almost all of your work, is going to be with your pack on, your webbing, and carrying your weapon. That's going to be a large chunk of your work, whether it's the NZ selection or the Australian one. And if you can't meet those timings and those requirements, you are a liability, and you're going to be looked at with a side eye going, I don't think that person is up to the task. And that's where this guy finds himself right now, which is a bit of a shame. But hey, he's still there. He's got a really good attitude, is what I like. I think I heard him say he'd have to be carried off in a box or in a stretcher, and he's not quite there yet. He feels he just needs to show up, keep showing up, giving it everything that he has, and let the cards fall where they may. And he's right in that regard, but you want to try not to be in the position that you're in now, where you're potentially going to have to do a retest in a day or so's time. I didn't realize it was like a day or so. Even 1 to 2 days later, after failing it the first time, is still a mission. All the other work, the lack of sleep, the PT that he's going to be doing, accumulating on top of that, is going to be breaking his body down. And then he's got to go and do this 20 clicker again and try to pass it. So, well, anyway, here's old mate having a bit of a gonk out on the stretcher.
5 days into the course, and over a third of the candidates have now withdrawn. With fatigue and injury taking its toll, the regiment now ratchets up the tempo. The candidates are plunged into a kaleidoscope of intense obstacle courses, combat exercises, and strange role-playing designed to test the body and the mind.
Zenon Clark Jones, take a seat, Mr. Clark Jones. What can I do for you?
I'm from Australia. I'm a journalist, and I'd like to pass through your checkpoint. I believe I need to do that to get to the area I'd like to go to.
You help me, I help you. There is a ways we can get around this.
Here, candidate 42 must talk his way across a fictitious border while gathering intelligence on the warlord that controls the area.
Okay, number two, if you haven't got the passport, you pay me a lot of money, and I'm talking lots of zeros, with lots of something in front of the zeros.
Unfortunately, I don't have any money to give you at this stage.
Three, or you can help me out, I help you out, and then you can get across the border.
It depends what it is, what I can do for you.
It's a simple thing. I need someone to take 2 radio diodes to a friend of mine in Norbitstown. He's got a radio like this one here, it's broken, and I can't talk to him.
I'd be a little bit worried carrying the radio diodes.
Oh, my daughter Layla, please, have a drink.
No, I'm fine.
No, please.
The directing staff employ tactics that put him out of his comfort zone and distract him from the task.
It's just a local tea.
That's a very nice offer.
Well, she will be offended for me. Oh, she likes you. She likes this one.
Is there any chance you can tell her to stop doing that?
Sure, if you don't want to, Layla, please don't massage this man. He's uncomfortable.
Much appreciated.
He just likes to make people feel at home.
That's fine.
I love the way he handled that. I love the way the staff and the role players come in and create these scenarios. I had one on my one where I needed to try to get $5 to walk into this bar, this fictitious bar where there were characters, role players there, mix of badged operators and other people that weren't. And I needed to try to get $5 so that I could make my way back and travel. I needed to try to convince somebody, to give me $5 so then I could use that to get back home. Being in a foreign place, not knowing anybody, not knowing the language, and just watching this just brings back a whole bunch of really cool memories of how uncomfortable it was, how challenging it was, and how great they were and are at maintaining character and doing these roles to try to see what people do, how they respond, to throw a spanner in the works. From what I know, like I remember at the end of selection, we'd ask, hey, did you get the $5? Did you get the $5? All the guys that I asked, none of them got the $5. I didn't get the $5, so I felt a little bit better. But seeing this, I didn't have anybody coming up and massaging me, so that's just seeing that is pretty hard case. I like how he handled that though. Could you ask her to stop doing that? And then the staff looked after that. Hard case. I know this instructor as well. He was on my selection from memory, and I think he might have been the one. I'm pretty sure he was when I got to his checkpoint on Lucky Dip. He was speaking sort of similar accent like this, and going, I think in your country there's like a dance that you do, a performance, a war cry, and he was talking about the haka, and so I had to perform the haka on selection during the Lucky Dip phase with my group and with him and these people there. So that's the same guy. Hard case. Anyway,
Australia though, we don't get that close to each other.
By day 6, the men are in a daze. Now they are sent out on a solo navigation exercise. Although they must prove they can navigate by night and day, the real purpose is to keep wearing them down physically while providing enough space to encourage their growing self-doubt.
People will be saying to themselves, this is not for me, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Others are out there and quite enjoying themselves and saying, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And they're the ones that will probably get through at the end.
What he's just said is 100% right. When we got to those phases in Australia and in NZ, when you're out on your own and doing the navigation and you just got to get to the checkpoints, and not just you want to do that properly as tactically as you can, but understanding that this is you've got to make the ground, you've got to cover the ground. But that when you're on your own and you're in that, you've just got yourself to rely on. That's what I loved about it. And other people that I know of that's passed, that's what they also loved about it. Like, it's on you. You need to get to these places. You need to push yourself. And if you can't do that, well, then you're in the wrong place. So hearing him speak, yeah, he's bang on.
These guys are given a series of checkpoints. They have to make the maximum checkpoints by day and a minimum of 2 checkpoints at night. In total, they'll cover, at the very most, 76 kilometres if they complete it, at the least about 68.
Sleep deprived and exhausted, the candidates struggle to keep their focus.
Where'd you come from, 42?
From?
You don't know?
Yes,
Where
sir.
you come from?
I come from Bravo, sir. Come from Bravo. Sorry, Alpha, sir. Come to Charlie.
You know exactly where you come from now?
What do, sir?
Meanwhile, the directing staff continue to play with their minds and erode their confidence.
How many checkpoints did you say you've done?
5.
5. At this stage, you're probably 3, if not 4, behind most other candidates. Is it 53?
That's it.
For candidate 101, the physical pain and the mental anguish have become intolerable.
What are you doing walking on the track?
I couldn't walk on the undulating ground.
Are you withdrawing?
I'll see the medics first.
The medics.
He is now on the verge of giving up, but is shown no sympathy.
How many checkpoints have you done today?
2.
2?
Yeah. It's been a bad day.
What's wrong with it?
They said it's something to do with my hamstring. Won't let me walk uphill. I can't straighten it out. Put pressure on to walk uphill.
Get your radio out. Call up 0 Alpha.
As the night closes in, the medics arrive to assess 101's injury.
Okay, I think we should persist at this stage, okay?
He is told it's not serious enough.
You see the body language. I'll just go back. I don't know if you heard the words of the medic. I think we should persist at this stage. Like, it's not broken, bro. There's nothing hanging out. There's no infection. Persist. You stick at it and you either keep going, stop trying to look for a medical discharge. Not saying that's what he's doing, but that is what some people will look for. So then that way they can go back to their unit and go, oh, I got medically withdrawn, got taken off, I got removed. They removed me from the course medically. I wanted to keep going. It was just a tight hamstring which wouldn't let me straighten my leg out, but they said no, I couldn't. They'll be able to feel better about themselves. But I think we should persist. Anyway, let's hear that again.
Okay, I think we should persist at this stage, okay?
He is told it's not serious enough to be offered a medical withdrawal. The decision is now his. But if he chooses to quit, he can never reapply.
Training to get here.
Now that aspect of it, that I've done Q&As about it. If you withdraw, that you can never reapply. That's rubbish. Like, you can reapply. Whether or not they let you come back on is up to them, but you can reapply. And typically, if you withdraw yourself, and I only know this from speaking with people that have withdrawn from both NZ and Australia. So knowing that there are people that have withdrawn and that have then reapplied and gone back onto a selection. Now, they may not have gotten back straight away. They may have had to wait at least 12 months, sometimes a bit longer. And then they reapply and then go back. Some guys have had to write a letter to explain why they should be allowed back on the selection course after having withdrawn. So that's not 100% accurate with regards to if he withdraws, he can never reapply. That again is another one of those seeds of doubt that they'll use. You're about 3 or 4 checkpoints behind where everybody else is at this time. You are going to be told typically things that you probably don't want to hear. And that is one of them. If you quit, you can never reapply. That's one of those things they're going to tell you. Reapply. If they say no, well then, okay, at least you know. And then if you still want to be there, reapply again another 6 months or 8 months or 12 months. But don't sit back and go, oh, no, they said I can't come back. Anyway, let's carry on.
Holidays, you don't have holidays when you're training.
stuff like that. You got to be dedicated to this, or it doesn't work. So you sacrifice relationships to get in. So strapped it again. A lot more support this time. I'll keep going, see how we go.
Completely exhausted, unable to concentrate and unsteady on their feet, the navigation exercise is a dangerous one. A number of candidates are forced to withdraw with broken and fractured bones. 42 is among them. After failing the 20-kilometre pack march, he now has a suspected neck fracture.
I was walking along and I went to step down into a ditch in front of me, and I was caught my back foot and basically fell ass over head. Sort of just spear tackled into the ground. Yeah.
It seems 42's dream is all but over. At least he will be spared from what comes next.
They told us on my selection that don't move at night. Like, it's not a, or at least when I went through selection, it wasn't a non-tactical exercise. You weren't able to, like, you head there, you're not supposed to use the roads or tracks. At night time, it's not a case of just whack out a torch and start shining the torch and keep going in the checkpoint. We were told don't move at night in case we take a tumble and you break something. So you push the limits, obviously, as much as you can till it's getting very hard to see. Once it's hard to see, then we parked up, you send in a log stat of where you are over the radio, and then you enjoy the rest. And then if anything, you get up early the next day, soon as there's some light starting to break through, and then you start making your way. But we didn't, I'm not saying that he did or that they did, but just looking at the footage of old mate walking along at night time, that was not something that we were encouraged or told to do. If anything, we were told to, don't move at night in case you get injured. So seeing guys snap and break something, it's not surprising. There was one guy on my selection who came from 4RR. There was about a dozen of us, and I think he was the only one that didn't complete it, and only because, from memory, he fell, put out his arm to catch his fall and snapped it, and it was during a time when it was fairly hard to see, or he was moving at night time. I never got to speak with him personally to know exactly what happened, but that was the information that came back, and it just reiterated, you shouldn't be moving at night time because we're not pulling out a torch to see where we're going, and we could step into a hole or whatever, or trip up, and just that weight of your pack and your body being broken down and then trying to catch yourself, not great. You don't want to be ending up in one of these like the ambulance.
For the men who have survived the first 8 days of the SAS selection course, there is a brief respite. Time to heal their wounds and sleep, if only for a few blissful hours.
It's unlikely that it was blissful hours. I don't recall on my selection getting any blissful hours worth of sleep. We may have, but it definitely didn't feel like it. It felt like when you got a chance to rest, your head would hit your webbing, you close your eyes, and it feel like 10, 15 minutes later, you're up again, and then you're up pretty much for the rest of the time. So yeah, maybe there was a couple of hours or something in there from time to time, but man, just watching this, I can't help but relive and re-experience a whole bunch of the emotions and feelings again, but in a more positive, in a more less stressful and happier way, because I'm not having to go through it again.
By dawn, there is no sign this retraining session will end. As the pain levels rise, so do the withdrawals.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing as much or smiling as much as I should be, as much as I am, but I am because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I feel you, brother. I know what you're going through. I've been there. It sucks. It hurts. And I'm looking at some of them going, geez, they make some pretty mean pukana faces. Like they should maybe go on kapaka or something here in Aotearoa. I mean, you look at this face here. I would have looked 100 times worse. And anybody that's served in the unit or that's been there knows what this is like. I don't know if anybody's sat around. This is my first time sitting around watching a selection video, especially of a selection video that I've completed. Not this particular one, but one a number of years before. And to see that things are still the same, pretty much, they don't change very much. It's a tried and proven method to identify those who they want to have serve or who are capable of serving within the Special Air Service Regiment. Yeah.
Despite the disappointing experience of his first interview, candidate 130 has remained positive, determined to prove himself.
Please, come in.
Oh, struggle to fit through with all
Yes,
this.
you Aussies are too fat. Come on.
In this scenario, he must demonstrate he can plan well under pressure in a foreign land.
We need help from Australia to plan the way we fight. Can you do that?
That is not a problem.
Right.
Let's see if we can sort out this problem.
This is our village. This is where we are. This radio tower, the enemy have been using this radio tower to coordinate their attacks. We've got to destroy that radio tower tomorrow morning at dawn. I'm going to go and talk to my wife for 1 minute.
Yep.
When I come back, give me your plan.
No worries. No worries.
Let's pause that. I think this is the same guy who said his arrogance is maybe one of those things that he needed to work on. I don't know if it's arrogance. He's clearly very confident, which is cool to see. But it's reading the room and being aware of how to manage or maintain that confidence without coming across as arrogant. And that's hard for a lot of people, if not all people. How do you maintain confidence without coming across as being arrogant? And that's something that you learn over time, or maybe it's something that many people are brought up with in much more humble circumstances, whatever the case might be. Or like he said, maybe it's just that natural defensive mechanism of his that he doesn't want to look soft or weak or vulnerable in front of people that he doesn't know, so he has to amp up or turn up the confidence. I'm assuming he's wanting to try to portray somebody that's more confident rather than arrogant. That's what I would expect he's trying to do, or assume he's trying to do. But it just seems it needs some tweaking anyway. That's my take on it. See what he comes up with.
What do you got?
How's the wife? All right. What are we going to
What do you got? How's the wife? Silence. Just looks at him like, don't try that rubbish with me. Keeps his hands on his hips. He's like, oh, not getting any reply. Better get into this plan that I said that I would have to sort out this problem. This is what I mean. They play their characters and their roles really well. And so it's a hard case. It really is funny. It's enjoyable to be watching this. I wish I had done this earlier, but I'm glad I'm doing this for the channel and for these videos.
do tomorrow morning? We will attack this first.
You're going to do that?
This will go.
What do you got?
How's the wife? All right. What are we going to do tomorrow morning?
Sorry, I'm going to go back. I want to watch that one more time. What do we got? How's the wife? A bit of a look. Nothing. Okay, he's going through now, panicking. I better get onto this and trying to show that he's not worried. I'm going to go back and I want to watch and hear it again.
What do you got?
How's the wife?
All right. What we're going to do tomorrow morning, we will attack this first. This will go. So they cannot get any radio transmissions out. You suppress this position, then you move up. We meet you in the middle.
That has got to be the worst plan I've heard all day. You've got them firing from here to here. You've got no idea whether that can suppress that or not. You didn't ask me anything about enemy composition. There's only 2 enemy, maybe 3 at that radio tower. There are 50 men there, but you didn't ask that. Australia is no longer my friend. Australia can leave my country and you can leave this compound. Get out.
The thing with this to understand is that it would not have mattered what he did. It wouldn't have mattered had he asked questions. So when the guy came back, said, "What's the plan?" It wouldn't have mattered if he said, "Well, before we get into the plan, I'd like to ask you a few questions to get a bit more information to help us with the plan." He could have tried that. I can guarantee the instructor would have come up with a way to turn that around and make it sound and appear to be that Australia, in this case, in this scenario, is incompetent and unable to provide me with a plan. They would have turned it around. Why? Because that's exactly what I would have done. Like, I gave you simple instructions. I'm going to go away for a minute. I'm going to come back. You're going to give me the plan so that we can achieve this objective. I didn't tell you to come up with a plan so that you can then ask me all these questions and then I give you the plan. You're supposed to be my friend. You need to give me the plan. You failed to do that. You're no longer my friend. Get out. Blah, blah, blah. In this case here, it would not have mattered if he had have asked questions. Now he's going away thinking, frick, as an operator, as a soldier, got to win hearts and minds. I didn't ask any questions. He followed the instructions to the letter. But if he had have used, and it would have been good if he did though, if he had have used some wherewithal or initiative to think, oh, you know what, this isn't enough information to go on, because that's the reality. You're not going to go in there with that plan, I don't care who you are, without trying to get further intelligence and asking the individuals, in this case, the local, who knows what the lay of the land is. So he hasn't done that. But even if he had have, I can guarantee he would have been ripped to shreds anyway and booted out of that compound.
Enough blood has been spilt without you making more get spilt. Get out.
Yes, I overlooked some critical factors. That could have gone a lot better.
You ever heard of 130, the saying, a round peg doesn't fit into a square hole?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. But you know what? I'm concerned you're not even a round peg. For the life of me, I'm looking at a man that I would find very, very hard to see fit into an SAS patrol. That's what I'm looking at right now.
So, a lot of their questions are designed to provoke a reaction. They need to see your personality. Now, on one hand, I can focus on the negative, on how badly I did it. On the other hand, I can be positive and go, you know what? They were testing me. They were testing me. Maybe they just want to see. Maybe I was targeted for a reason. Maybe I have potential, and I'll show them.
So given that candidate, what can you offer us?
I think I can prove myself through my actions, sir. I have the ability.
What do you have to offer us?
Self-discipline and mindset, sir. To never quit, no matter the odds.
So 130 blokes out there with self-discipline and mindset. Candidate, you appear to me as being a bit of a facade. I don't believe there's anything under the surface.
I'm hoping to prove you wrong, sir.
I hope you do too.
It's day 9. The men now face the most gut-wrenching physical session yet. They head to the top of a steep track to where directing staff wait to begin the torture. Among them is candidate 42, who incredibly has returned to the course.
They took me into the hospital and they did a CAT scan and X-ray, and there was no break, no fracture damage or anything. So yeah, good to go back out, back on the horse. So they put me straight back out in the field, and I picked up where I left off.
Sweet, nice. The guy that, basically went tits up, and good. He's back on the course. Good to see. Good to hear. I don't know if it's still good to hear. He's still got the 20 clicker that he needs to do, but he's back on the course, and true to his word, he mentioned he'd be carried off in a box, I think it was, when he rejected the guy with the Unimog telling him to get on, or off on a stretcher. So he was taken off on a stretcher in an ambulance, and well, it's good that he's back. That little break that he's had, being assessed and having the CAT scans or CT scans and all that sort of stuff done, or X-rays, I don't think he would have had much of a break, but it would have been better than what the other candidates would have been doing. But anyway, he's back, so good on him. Let's see what happens.
Your chest back down, bar touch the sky. Full range repetition. Get down. Get it on the ground. Good boy. Get off your knees. Keep up.
Standing up, ramp held above the head.
Gents, every time everybody else do it, they're jogging. Go, Jack.
Determined to cull more candidates, the directing staff now apply maximum physical and emotional pressure.
85, click on. 85. Hey, 5, you're in survival mode. Show some resolve. Show us what you made of.
The pain is ramped up again and again until finally the desired result is achieved.
Obviously, this just broke me, so it's gut wrenching, to be honest. Yeah, something that takes months and months to train for.
And the session continues until more do the same.
Right, mate, you got an injury?
It's not me, sir. It's my strength in it. I can take a running step with my right foot, but not with my left. I want to keep going. I didn't want to leave. There's just no strength in it.
The selection course needs to be hard. We need to know that we're going to get an individual that will be able to stand up to the rigours of combat. Failure is not an option. With these qualities, they're able to operate in the environment where special operations generally reside. That is shrouded in friction, chaos, chance, uncertainty.
Powerful words again from the commanding officer, my former OC. You know, I think, and one of the things that I loved about the unit was the opportunity to speak your mind, regardless of rank, regardless of whether you're a new operator or a seasoned veteran. And I think over time, I've learned and discovered that, failure is always an option. It's always an option. As much as we may want to try to avoid it, and or as much as we don't want it to happen, failure in and of itself is always an option. But he's 100% correct. We need people that are willing to push beyond that. So once this gets disconnected from your body and your body is starting to take over in terms of the pain and injuries or pains and perceived injuries that you may be feeling, it's hard for this to grip it back up and take control of your body again and keep moving. How do I know that? Because I've seen guys finish selection with broken feet, and those guys got their foot broken on day 3 or 4, day 3 or 4 of the selection in the Australian one, and completed the 21 days with a broken foot or with broken bones in their feet. And so when you're hearing muscular ligaments, yet painful, sprains, strains, I get it. They are painful. I've had those types of things before. Thankfully, I didn't have anything too major from an injury perspective that I felt on either selection. But mentally, you need to be, and that's what they're looking for, those individuals that can put that to the side, that can use this to grip up control and command their body and crack on with the job. And that's a hard thing to do if you haven't been preparing sufficiently for it. So, yeah, the guys there, I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, I respect them for showing up for selection and giving it a crack. Good on them. But yeah, that's why the failure rate is so high. So many people pull off or quit.
The SAS candidates are now midway through the course, and less than half the men remain. Tomorrow, candidates 42 and 81, along with 4 others, face the retesting in the 20-kilometre pack march. They must pass to stay on course. Only now, they've endured another 6 days of sleep deprivation and crushing physical punishment.
So midway through the course, there's a little bit of a reprieve. They're at midway now, and then they're going to have to do that 20 clicker again. That's incredible. I mean, if any of them pass the 20 clicker the second time round after being at the halfway point of a 21-day selection, given what the snippets that you've seen of what they've been through so far, with the lack of sleep, with the retraining, with the trying to break them down physically, mentally, that's amazing if that's what happens.
For 81, it's about proving to the regiment that he is not a boy, but a man.
Don't think about it, because it'll psych yourself out, and when you think about stuff too much, you dwell on it, and then you get nervous, and then you doubt yourself. So it's better to just go in confident. I reckon I've got it.
Do wear your water, mate. Drink it all.
A friend told me, actually, like, I don't know if it's true, but I want to believe it. It's like, when you think you can't go more, that's your body using 30% of what it's capable of. So I want to believe it. I don't know if it's true, but I tell myself that.
Bloody good on him for telling himself that. I would have said you should have used that and told yourself that on the first crack of the 20 clicker instead of waiting for this second round. But hey, great mindset and attitude to have, and he's still there. He's still in the fight. He hasn't withdrawn. He hasn't quit like so many others have up until this point. So I'm dreading for them having to do the 20 clicker again.
For 42, it's about proving he's not too old to do the job.
I'll just keep saying to myself, come on, keep going, keep driving. Yeah, I don't want to have to leave here early and make excuses for why I didn't finish or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, you just got to, I want to be there at the end. That's it, I really want to be there at the end. So the only way to do that is to keep going, put one foot in front of the other, whatever happens, whatever they throw at us, whatever I screw up, it doesn't matter. You just keep going. And that's my strategy,
As you cross over the finish line, ensure you listen out for your time and then go and get it recorded. Ready? Go.
gooseneck going with the little shuffle and your neck just starts moving like that. Here it is.
Get in there. Get in there. Just fucking keep going as fast as I can, man. That's all I can fucking do.
He looks like he's moving at a good pace. He looks like he's moving way better than what he was in that first one. I mean, that was coming to the tail end of that 20 clicker in the first one. But man, he seems to be cruising along. I don't know whether he's coming first or whether, where he is in the mix, but seems to be moving well. He's past the halfway and he's on the way back.
Now at the halfway point, candidate 81 knows his situation is dire, and getting home in 3 hours 15 will be all but impossible.
Don't quit. It's better to finish it and not pass and not finish it just because you think you're going to quit. You can't do that all the time.
Good attitude, good comments. Definitely easier said than done. But we'll see. We'll see if he keeps going.
Finishing's better than nothing.
I'm inside the halfway time, but it's got to be fucking the second half. That's the big bit, It's the home trip, and then fatigue's starting to kick in. So just got to kind of keep the momentum up.
Bloody good on you, bro. He's under time on the halfway, which is great, and yeah, he's aware. He's aware of it, and this is where I think that maturity comes in, right? So he's 30 or early 30s or whatever it is, and that maturity, that wisdom is coming through. But man, the way he's going, it looks like he's going to pass it or get back in time. He's found another gear at this later stage of the selection, and that's a huge achievement if he passes, if he goes through. The young fella still got a good head on his shoulders. Be interesting to see what happens with him come the end of this 20 clicker. Oh, look at that. 3 hours, 5 minutes, coming up to 3:06. Smashed it. Well, he's not at the finish line yet, but that's very impressive. I would say that's far more impressive than passing it the first time when you're not fresh, but when you're fresher and you're not as fatigued because you haven't gone through all that other stuff, all the retraining that's taken place leading up to that, all the other navigation exercises that have taken place, all the other mentally draining activities or challenging activities, as well as physical activities leading up to doing this task again. Far out. Hats off. Salute.
3 hours, 6 minutes.
3 hours, 6 minutes. Guy smashed it. He went from 3 hours 50 something minutes to 3 hours 6 minutes. Cutoff is 3 hours 15. Salute, bro. Awesome.
good, man. It's really good. It's really important. Bit of difference between me going home early and being allowed to stay at the inn, you know. So yeah, it's been the most important thing so far.
Three hours and 30 minutes.
The young fella, 3 hours, 30 minutes. Man. Well, hey, at least he showed up. That'll be him. He'll be done. He failed it the first time, he's failed it the second time. That should be it.
Having failed the march twice, it is all over for 81.
Pack up all your gear. Should be out of here today. Alright. Sorry, come down and pick you up.
That's heartbreaking. For him obviously. You feel for, like, looking back at it, this gives me a different perspective as well, seeing candidates that clearly want it, clearly want to be there, but were unable to meet the required standard, failed, and seeing it in this light, in this fashion, seeing it hurt that badly for somebody, hits, for me anyway, hits different. I've not seen that, wasn't expecting that, but it's also good from my perspective. I'm enjoying seeing the struggle, the hurt, the suffering. I would say hopefully that young fella just takes that, packages it up, and uses it to drive him the next time he goes on selection. He hasn't quit. He hasn't been medically discharged. He hasn't looked for a way to get taken off the course. Some might argue, oh yeah, he went slow intentionally so he could come off the course. I don't think that's the case. He's failed to meet the standard, so he's going to be removed. He's getting picked up, as you heard the senior instructor telling him. Bundle that up, man. If he hasn't already, use that as energy and drive and focus and motivation, whatever you want to call it. Get out there, be disciplined. You know your weakness is the pack and covering that distance. Spend more time with the pack on your back and get to work. So, anyway, we'll carry on.
Having the physical fitness and mental resolve to stay on course does not guarantee selection, nor does passing the required tests. Every result, every behavioural trait and foible is observed, recorded, and entered into a database. Now the senior directing staff scrutinise the remaining candidates one more time, looking for any sign they are not right for the regiment.
42, obviously passed his 20 clicker.
Why did he go from 358 to 306 on his 20 clicker?
358 to 306. That's huge. And it's a good question. Why did he go from 358 to 306?
He's definitely inconsistent.
Very intense character.
Which is what your comment was in that front sheet there, saying that flustered maybe, potentially.
Yeah, definitely.
To be honest, if I was going to remove anybody, it'd be this bloke and there's one other. I just don't think he's got it.
He has been struggling on his physical training up until this morning's effort.
Do we persevere with him?
It is the end of phase 1 of the selection course. The surviving candidates are assembled outside the embassy, where for some, it is Judgment Day.
Okay, I want the following people to leave their gear where it is and move over to my left-hand side. Candidates 56, 64, 99, 101, 116, 130. Okay, those 6 members move now.
Looking at the looks on their faces. When you're in those moments and numbers are getting read out, everybody's wondering what that means. Is that the group that's getting kicked off? Or is that the group that's staying, and those of us that haven't been called out, we're getting kicked off? There's so much running through your head. It's brilliant. It's perfect how the selections run. They really are good at what they do, and they are excellent tools to really get, as the commanding officer said, to really get a good look at the person's soul of who wants to be there and why they're there, etc. So just looking at some of those faces, they'll all be thinking, are they staying? Are the rest of us getting kicked off? Like, well, what's going on? What the hell is going on? Why are those people being selected? Oh man, those numbers, I've seen those guys, they were doing really well. Like, they must be staying. And the rest of us, oh no, my number didn't get called out. I'm getting kicked off. Oh crap. All of this wave of emotions is happening just like that. And another reason why I'm enjoying watching it and not having to go through it. Yeah, anyway.
Everyone else, remain where you are.
Okay, all the candidates' performance was reviewed this afternoon, and it was decided that you will be removed from the course. I'll leave it at that, but the SI will speak to you all in more detail, collect your e-bags from inside, consolidate your gear, and we'll have a vehicle here in about 2 minutes. Any questions? Okay, all the best from here with your future careers, fellas.
Ruthless, some people might say. That's quite nice and polite and respectful and trying to be mindful of the individuals, but yeah, it can happen just like that. So they've done some assessments. These people, they don't think they're suitable, and they've done that in collaboration with a number of different eyes looking at that. Psychs would have fed into that, senior instructor, the DS staff, the directing staff that are there day to day, the panel information, how they turn up on activities. All this information is all packaged up together, reviewed, looked at for each person. And these guys have been identified as not having what they believe it takes to be able to serve in the unit at this time. So that's where things are at this point. No. And so we'll carry on with this and see how it all plays out.
After 10 days of pushing their minds and bodies to the limit in the quest to just be considered for the SAS, these 6 men have been pulled from the course. For them, the dream is over.
I've been removed for not meeting performance standards. I honestly didn't expect it. Left a little shaky by the experience. I'm pretty shattered. I really wanted this. I want to fit in, and I thought I was good at it, but they seem to have picked up that I could never fit in, and I think that's where the problems come from. Even just this brief period that I've been with these men, the pain you share really grants you something. This grants you that brotherhood. I'm not just talking about what's established already. To understand it, you have to share it. You will become a part of it. You can't help it. And you'll go home. You won't be able to explain this to anyone else. You can't. Only the people you've shared it with will understand truly what you've been through. It's a remarkable achievement to survive in it. And I wish these men so well.
That takes a lot of character and courage. For me, seeing him in that, seeing him speak that way, and seeing how he is giving guys pats on the back, saying, giving them the thumbs up, basically, keep going, keep hammering, well done. That's awesome. That's not an easy thing to do. That's extremely hard. And so hearing and seeing him do that in this frame, for me, he looks very different to how he was and how he portrayed himself at the start. if he goes back and watches this, I don't know if he is, and I don't know if he's gone back on selection. But seeing him in that frame, man, I hope he goes back, or I hope he's been back and done selection again. I hope he's passed with that approach that he has now, the way that he's speaking there, the mindset that he has. He should go back and do it again and give it another crack. Anyway.
Service in the Special Air Service Regiment is not for everyone. Whilst people may have lofty dreams and ideals of serving in the unit, they'll quickly be found out those first 10 days. That then gives us the ability to focus on those individuals that we think have potential in a bit more of a detailed approach.
Less than 70 men remain. Amongst them is candidate 42, who's been given a reprieve.
Pretty sure from what I saw that SI wasn't impressed with number 42, and you would have seen his picture up on the screen. I thought he was gone. Looked like he was going to be gone. Thought he was going to be one of those numbers that got called out, so he wasn't. He's still there. See what happens. Down to 70 now from 130, whatever, I think it was 130. So 60 odd people have withdrawn so far.
Now the business end of the course is about to begin. Trucked into a rugged, isolated mountain range and carrying up to 50 kilograms on their backs, the physical and psychological demands that men face are about to reach a whole new level.
Liberation! 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 No.
Well, that's part one. Man, that time went by quick. Been on here over 2 hours just reacting to this. This is 51 minutes, 51-minute video, so it's a little over 50 minutes. But man, I've really enjoyed this. There's lots of stuff in there. Hopefully the reaction provides a bit of information as well around what it is that you've seen. That's part one. I'm going to have to try to find part two so I can do a reaction to it. That's probably going to go for another hour. So wish me luck on that. And hopefully you enjoy this reaction. Hopefully you get something from it. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video for part two. And I'll do some other reactions in the meantime to some of the other individuals or notable people from the military setting and that anyway. Yeah, we'll see how we go. All right, thanks for sticking around. And if you've got any questions, whack them in the comments. If you've got any suggestions, whack them in the comments. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, until then, take care. See you in the next video.